the letter addressed to her written after his death. Never imagined the day would come when my words would travel to you from a place where my footsteps can no longer return, and yet here I am reaching across the veil of all I have lost and all you still carry, trying to speak to you one last time through this trembling letter that found its way to you after my breath had already faded from the world. I know your hands are shaking as you open it, and I know your heart is fighting every memory that rises inside you, because grief is a tide that pulls without mercy, and you have already been drowning for far too long. I want you to breathe, my love, just breathe, because the world will not wait and pain does not negotiate, but you have always been stronger than the storms that tried to break you tonight. I am sitting in a silence that does not hurt, and it is strange because I remember how the world used to echo with our laughter, and now I wonder if you can still hear pieces of that sound hidden inside the walls of the home we built together. I hope you still play the song you loved, even though I am not there to hum along and tap my fingers on the table like I always did, trying to pretend I had rhythm when I clearly did not. That song still lives with me in the place where I now wander, without a body, without a voice, without time, but not without love. Never without love. Never without love. You always asked me what I feared most, and I used to say losing you because that felt like the end of the world, but now I have learned that the true end is not loss. The true end is not saying the words that should have been spoken in time, so let me say them now, even though time is no longer mine. You were my peace, my shelter, my north star, and the only person who ever saw me without armor and still stayed. You were the one truth in a life full of noise. And if I could choose again, even knowing that this ending waited for us, I would run back into your arms every lifetime, every version of us, across every universe that ever dared to dream of love. I know you were angry that I left without warning, and maybe without enough tenderness in my goodbye. But grief has a cruel habit of sharpening the memory of every small mistake. So listen to me with the gentleness I failed to give myself. There is nothing you could have done. There is no version of the story where you saved me from what I carried. There is no moment you missed, no sign you ignored. The world took me in its own time, and you must not let guilt rewrite what was already written in the sky long before we met. You loved me with a devotion that defied everything, and if love alone were enough to hold me here, I would still be sitting beside you, whispering jokes into your ear like the fool I always was. Do you remember the night we got caught in the rain and you complained the whole way home, pretending to be furious while secretly enjoying every second because it made you feel alive? I remember the way your hair clung to your face and the way you looked at me as if you were seeing something holy and fragile. I did not say it then, but I knew in that instant that my life had changed forever. It is strange how the smallest nights become the ones we hold closest when everything else has slipped away. I wish I could give you back every morning you will now wake up alone. I wish I could hold your hand through every night that feels heavier than your heart can bear. I wish I could take your pain and break it across the sky until it bursts into light, but I cannot return, and that truth hurts you more than it hurts me. Because where I am now there is no fear, no cold, no distance, but where you are there is memory, and memory is both a blessing and a sharp blade pressed against the spliff. You are reading this. It means the world decided you deserved answers, so here is the only answer that matters. I loved you in a way that even death could not erase. I loved you with a depth I never knew I possessed. I loved you in silence when I did not know how to speak. I loved you in storms when I was too broken to stand. And I love you still in this quiet place where my light has not gone out. It has simply traveled somewhere you cannot follow yet. Need you to promise me something, even if your voice cracks when you say it, even if your heart trembles, even if part of you resents me for asking. Promise me you will not live inside the shadows of my absence. Promise me you will still chase the dreams we once whispered about at 2 in the morning when sleep refused to come. Promise me you will laugh without guilt, love without fear, and walk forward without the weight of my memory chaining your steps. I was never meant to be a cage around your future. I was meant to be a chapter that strengthened you, not a wound that forever bleeds you. Are going to meet people who remind you that life is still wide open. Some will offer kindness, some will offer kindness, some will offer chaos, some will offer comfort. Let them. Do not close the door because you think loyalty to me requires loneliness. My love, your heart was not built to rest in grief. It was built to bloom again and again. And I want you to bloom, even if I am not there to see it sometimes. You will feel me near you in the quiet places, when you look at the sky and the wind shifts just enough to brush your cheek. When a memory appears without warning and instead of hurting, it warms you when you whisper goodnight, even though you know, I cannot answer. Those moments are not your imagination, they are my love, reaching for you in the only way it now knows how. Not to haunt you, not to hold you back, but to remind you that the bond we share does not end, it only changes its shape. There is something I never told you because I thought I had more time. I kept every note you ever wrote me, even the silly ones you tossed aside without thinking. I kept the ticket from our first movie. I kept the dried flower you tucked into my book. I kept the little moments most people forget because I knew my life would never give me something more precious. And now, I hope you keep something of me too, not because you owe it to me, but because our story deserves a place in the quiet corners of your heart where only truth lives. You always worried that you were not enough, that you were too emotional, too sensitive, too soft for a world that often demands hardness. But listen to me now with the fullest weight of my sincerity. Your softness was the safest place I ever knew. Your heart was the only home I ever felt. And if people cannot understand the depth with which you feel, then they are simply not built for someone like you. Do not change yourself to fit the world. Let the world adjust to you, just like I did, just like anyone worthy of your trust will do. No, you would burn the world to bring me back if you could, but my love, do not set yourself on fire to honor me. Live in a way that makes every memory of us shine. Instead of ache, live bravely, live honestly, live with the kind of courage that comes from knowing you once loved someone who saw the universe in your eyes. Let that be your strength, not your sorrow. One day, far from now, when the seasons have shifted, and the weight has softened and your heart has learned to breathe again, you will wake up and realize that the pain has changed. It will not disappear, but it will settle into a quiet corner of your soul where it no longer wounds you. It will simply remind you that you once loved deeply, and that is something to honor, not fear. Before I say my final words, I want you to place your hand over your heart. Feel it, feel the rhythm. That is where I live now, not in the grave, not in the ashes, not in the fading shadows of yesterday. I live in every beat that keeps you moving forward, every breath that refuses to give up, every decision that pulls you toward the future you deserve. I live in you because you were the greatest part of me. So, here is my last truth. I am at peace, and I want the same for you. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday when the world feels warm again, and you can think of me without breaking. When that day comes, do not look for me in the places I once walked. Look for me in the strength you never knew you had. Look for me in the courage you find. Look for me in the love you will give again. Because that is where I will be waiting, quiet, proud, unbroken, and forever yours. And now, my love, go live and carry me, not as a burden, but as a light that walks beside you into every dawn you have yet to see.
If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Every single subscription motivates me to bring you even more exciting and dramatic HOA stories. And don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss a new upload. I'll see you in the next story, where justice gets even more satisfying.